Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome you to the RTAA Meet and Greet webinar. We hope you're all having a good time. Before we get started, we would just like to start with a few housekeeping notes. If you can see the screen, you can see they're up on the screen. But just to go through, you can open and close your control panel on the side so you can change the speaker's level. You can see that there is the audio settings under the audio pane. You are right now muted and also with no video. We would like to let you know that it is also being recorded and we can provide it to the attendees afterwards. So let's get started. We'd like to start with Thomas Kerr.
Thanks, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me well. It's quite a new thing for us, for a lot of people to be broadcasting on webinars. Obviously, everyone would like to be in person to shake each other's hands and have a chin wag. We certainly want to try and get to that in the new world, being able to interact amongst each other. So it'd be good to see that sort of technology capability in these sort of webinars. So I guess the main intent for today is a bit of a broadcast to current members and potential new members, to I guess go over what the RTAA is doing, and meet David and Anna, who are veterans at this, and get to hear some of their stories. When I say stories, it's going to be very short and sweet, because we want to hear from everyone that wants to provide a bit of feedback, any suggestions on how we can better provide our services to our members. So that's the real intent. So hopefully, I'm not sure if everyone's used this sort of platform before, but there is the questions area. I've got a couple of polls as well that you can answer, just to get a bit of data. So obviously there's other methods that we can use, but this is a new way of doing things. So the RTAA, actually I might stick the first poll on right now, and you may have answered this already in the registration, but that's okay. Are you an RTAA member? So I'll launch that and see what happens. If you go yes or no, you're an RTAA member. Be interesting to see, because it's gone out to through the ARA's social media and the rest of it. So I'm not sure if everyone can see, but I can see the numbers ticking over. About 63% have voted. Might give it a bit more longer. And just a shout out to the ARA for helping us set up today's event and supporting the RTAA in some future webinars as well. So just, a few more responses we good. 71% have voted. And I'll leave it at that. So close it. So we've got 60% of members, 40% non-members. So that's not bad. All right, so we wanted to share a video as well, just to introduce the RTAA to some. Technical difficulties of sort of preventing that, plus it comes across a bit laggy at sometimes. So what I'll try and do is just send the link to everyone. So that should come through, hopefully. And that's basically a YouTube link of the RTAA. So free to watch that in your own time, I guess. I won't sort of waste any more time on that piece. Let me just see what else I want to go over. Yeah, I guess just in the interest of time, yeah, I don't want to labour a lot of things, and keen to hear from David and Anna. But just before I go to them, and yeah, there was a number of questions that came through in the registration, which was good. A lot of them were personal questions or direct to, I guess the feedback might not be relevant to everyone. So I'm happy to respond to them individually after this. But yeah, I might just, let me just see if I've missed anything. Yeah, I guess for those who don't know the RTAA, we're part of, we're a technical society, but a more sort of broad-based rail society that sit alongside the RTSA, IRSE, the ARA. We're involved with the Ausrail every year with the ARA. We've got our own technical stream. We have the field day, which is every 2 years. So just a bit of an update on that. We're looking to have that in Chullora. Previously, it's been Clyde. So we've got the early stages of the planning and engagement with the stakeholders to make that event happen next year. And I guess while we're onto that, I do have another poll on the field day, which is what time of year would you prefer the date? So I'll just launch that. You know, keen to hear from everyone when they think it should be held. Obviously, there's other factors that go into these sort of things, but it's always good to weigh up decisions based on all stakeholders. Traditionally, yeah, it's been sort of February, March, April. I think 1 year might have been October. There's other major events going on around the year. So things like Ausrail is a key potential clash. You wouldn't want to have two major rail events in the same month or within a few months of each other. Field day can be quite expensive for some companies to I guess, you know, lend their resources and whatnot. So you know, it might be appropriate in certain financial years. We've got 65% voted, waiting for a few more when the field day can be held. All right, I think I might leave it there. A few last minute ones that jumped in, and I'll close it off now. So 73% voted, 37% April to June, and about 30% anytime, don't mind, were the main ones. So so that's fine. Look, we want to have it around a similar time. But yeah, just good to get some initial feedback on that. Right. So yeah, that's the field day. What else? We have our newsletter every. We're doing it every month now. I guess a bit more on webinars because we don't have physical events at the moment, and field day is a bit far off. I'm keen to know from the audience how often the RTAA should host webinars. So I'll just launch another poll. So once a month, every 2 to 3 months, 6 months, every year. Yeah, I think any more than a month people go crazy. There's a lot of other webinars out there spruiking different things. So appreciate everyone doesn't have the time for these things, and it also depending what value you're trying to get out of it too. So I'll close the votes off just in the interest of time in 3 seconds, 2, 1. 78% voted. I'm looking at every 2 to 3 months, 68%. So that's a positive result. That's sort of what we're thinking as well. We want to do, sort of every 2 to 3 months, something like this. This one's a bit of a special once-off as a bit of an introduction from us. So we want to try and do a few different things at these webinars. And the final poll that I want to run is what webinar content interests you. So you can select more than one. Just interested to hear what people are interested in us presenting. There's not all the options are there, so there's another checkbox, but I'm keen for anyone that wants to provide a bit more input into this sort of content to email us. We'll have an email at the end, I think, but it's in every newsletter website we'll refer to. So there's plenty of avenues for providing input into that. So I'll just close that off now. So new technology, recent projects, most people ticked, and career tips, about 50%. So that's good feedback. Right, I think we've got, sorry, we started late, so we're a little bit behind. I may as well pass over to David, and he can introduce himself, even though he may not need any introduction. So yeah, thanks David. And so yeah, once David and Anna speak, we'll go back to a bit of a Q&A. So on to you, David. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. So yeah, I have been around the RTAA for quite a while now, and was the previous president. Tom is a much better looking younger version of me, with hair and beard and stuff like that, and doesn't have these things growing out your ears, do you, Tom? But it's my keen involvement with the RTAA is trying to promote diversity and inclusion, and I think the impact of COVID-19 on the way we're all having to work and learn new skills like webinars and working from home will have a positive effect on being able to offer better career prospects and more flexible working for people in rail, and that is got to be a good thing. So it's very much my my driver that I've always had since I've been with the RTAA, that we do make sure that we include as many types of people from around our country and from overseas, and also to encourage the workforce to grow, including people who wouldn't normally have come into rail. It's a fabulous industry to be in, and really we should promote these the people joining us as much as they can. So I guess that was sort of me. I'm also on the management committee and try and help Tom as best I can and the rest of the executive, as it's never easy trying to keep something like the RTAA going. We're always short of money, and if any of the 42 people who are on has got lots of money they'd like to donate to us, we'll take it and do good things with it. So it is only by the support of industry that we are able to do the things that we do, and hopefully we're making a difference and making rail a better place for everybody, and looking forward to a great future. So that's all I've got to say. I'm going to hand over to Anna now, Anna Murray, who managed to get on. We've had a few technology issues today, as it's our first one, but we're working through it. Over to you, Anna. You're on mute, Anna. Hello, Anna.
Right, can anyone actually hear me?
Yay, good, Anna, you're on.
Yay, I can't do, I'm having, apologies folks, whoever's on, and I can't work out video or anything, but we are where we are. I missed some of the stuff that Tom and David were saying, but for me, just a little bit about what I'm trying to get out of joining the RTAA or being involved and everything is down in Victoria now. For me, a lot of it, I've moved, I know some people in the RTAA and across the industry. I've recently moved from Sydney Trains down to Victoria. I'm working with MTM now. And what I'm going to try and do really is to use all the experience I've had in public, private, UK, Australia, metro, heavy haul. It's been a bit of a mix for me, and try and sort of redo some of the work we're doing down here with a real planning focus to try and get some efficiencies and just that interface with all groups and try and get Victoria. We've got such an exciting time with the amount of rail work down here, but it's all quite disjointed. So to try and actually really join the industry up and develop those key industry links. For me, the RTAA is a key point and like focus point for that. It's one of the areas that we can actually all work together. We're not, you know, you take off your company hat, if you like, and say as an industry how we want to develop things. One thing I've found down in Victoria, you know, PWI, for instance, we have to sort of go cap in hand to the New South Wales team. And also even just coming into my group, it doesn't seem to be as much of a focus or pushed at all. So a lot of the, you know, the guys in my team, for instance, aren't members of the RTAA, they're not members of the PWI, this, that and the other. So I'm trying to really push and just raise that overall awareness of how as an industry we achieve more if we work together and we actually share stories. In particular, you know, and I'm not sure what David actually said while I was trying to connect, but, you know, sharing safety advances and incidents and how we've responded to things, that's critical to how we work. Same in terms of how we develop and if there's any innovation that we're doing. Although yes, there's the different states, and this is something, again, a lot of us from the UK, maybe you do work a lot more across the whole country. But in particular for me, it's actually getting people exposed and actually facilitating that joining up for them and actually introducing them to different people, you know, and I want to make sure that they are exposed and actually get involved and start meeting and talking to people in other areas with other experience, other disciplines, sort of thing. So for me, I see the RTAA as that real conduit, if you like, to how we can get everyone together and things like this webinar. It's all taught us recently, I suppose, very different ways of working, but it's a really good one. Everyone can just go on and off, and whether we have these, you know, the technical seminars, I know PWI used to run in Sydney, they're okay, but they're after work, and, you know, if you're not in the city, webinars are a fantastic tool for us, and hopefully we'll look, and people, maybe some of the audience even now will think, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing a half an hour or 15 minutes explaining on a project I've been on or a real success they've had, or share some stories about challenges they've had, and almost use this sort of setup and the RTA as an overall group to say, I've got a sort of particular problem, or has anyone had any experience with this? I'm not sure how to go about it. There's different ways, and actually just start working as an industry group with all the masses of years of experience and ideas we've got, or fresh people that come in and actually sort of go, why do you do it like that in the rail? There's another way of doing it in other industries even. So that's for me how it's, you know, the RTAA they're an important part of us as an overall group, and as I said, they're not state-based, they're not particular, you know, I say discipline-based. We track, but at the same time, it's an overall system, as we know, within the railway industry. And for me, new down here and trying to get exciting sort of times. And like I say, I'm looking forward to working with the team a lot more and getting stuck into what I can help the RTAA do, and what they can, and the members and as an overall group, like I say, get stuck in. And yeah, trying to get used to the cold after being in New South Wales for 10 years. So anyone who has any suggestions on how I can work that one out, give me a shout. I think there are particular challenges down here for me from a MTM track perspective, and I'm, you know, getting used to that one now, as I say, going from heavy haul in the Hunter Valley to then going metro in Sydney. And, you know, it's different, but the actual principles of what we do, I think, are the same, and the way we improve that is actually working together. So that's about me. I'm sure you'll hear more from me in, you know, years to come or months to come. But yeah, it's exciting for me to get involved with the RTAA and actually start trying to give back a little bit of my 25 years of rail experience.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks, David. That's really great. So just while I'm talking, it'd be good if we can get a few questions in the chat. If people know how to do that, might have to work it out yourselves. But yeah, I guess while people are sort of thinking about more questions, one's come through. Is it possible to enable? And by the way, this is anonymous, so you know, no one's going to know who says the question. So don't be afraid to ask anything, but I'll certainly filter it as required. Is it possible to enable the webinar participant list so that we can see who all are in the session? So yes, I'll definitely. I think that's one advantage. You know, it should be no different to, I guess, meeting in person, other than the fact that that you've got to go up to someone, ask for their name, but yeah, the list is there. So look, with the consent of every person, that's certainly possible, and that's what we have done in the past anyway. Post an event, but it's an opt-in and opt-out type thing. So good question. And as I said before, I really want to try and look for some solutions as to make it more interactive. Should we have fewer physical events? I think networking is very important. So yeah, I mean, just from a webinar point of view, these are really also knowledge sharing sessions. Essentially, we do it at work once a week at a lunchtime, and this is everyone sort of will probably do it in their own workplace of sharing knowledge management, but this is really to bring all industry together and to understand what other people are doing, what other industries and organizations are doing as well. I have seen some questions come through from the registration, which could be relevant to a lot of people. And the question is, in your opinion, is the future of rail transport changing? And if so, how and why? So I'm wondering if Anna or David wants to answer that one. Do you want me to repeat it, or?
Go on, then, yeah, please, Tom.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is the future of rail transport changing? And if so, why?
I'll go first if you want, Anna. Yeah.
Go on, then, yeah.
I definitely rail transport is changing in Australia as a whole. You look at the investment being made into metropolitan areas, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, even Adelaide is getting on board now, so that you will see as cities become denser, and actually I think one of the impacts of COVID will be that there'll be less office space required in city centres, and more people will start to live in city centres, and that will start to drive the requirement for better public transport because people won't own cars. And that in itself will drive governments to change their investment criteria so that you will start to see a much higher usage and patronage. And if you just look at Sydney alone, You know, the prior to COVID, the usage of public transport was rocketing, because we got investment in new rolling stock, and you've got better services. You can turn up and go. The implementation of metro systems, which are high frequency turn up and go, as opposed to sort of the Sydney Trains network, which the best they're doing is a 10-minute service on the inner lines. So you start to see the changing profile, and that will start to radiate out. So you'll start to get regional trains offering a faster service into the city hubs, like Chatswood Central, Sydenham, and then people jumping on a different form of light rail or metro to get around the city. So I think that model, which is well documented across the world as in other cities, as our population grows, you'll see that starting to be an impact on Australia.
Yeah, I think Dave, you've probably said most of what I'd say. That intermodal side of things, and you know, it's as you mentioned there, the changing sort of how you go from one service to another. That was something that again, I was told once that many people in Australia want to get on a train and 8 hours later get off without any change in the middle. Or whereas in Europe, if you look at the European transport model, there is a lot of that sort of, you know, regional services. Intercity services, if you like, are really that true intercity service. You need the infrastructure around that. You need to have, like, you know, you're passing loops, so you have your through tracks for your intercities. I think the other one though is that intermodal. I was reading something the other day, fairly exciting, that they're actually having a train ferry. So New Zealand Rail, Kiwi Rail, are purchasing 2 big ferries, and one can actually, the train goes on and off the other end, and you just to get across the islands, and you just think, that's that intermodal side. You think, you know, you can get on a train in the UK and you get off in France, or you get off on the ski slopes. Fabulous, by the way, guys. And I think that mindset of people to say different services require different setup. If you're on a long distance and intercity for a couple of hours, you need a different vehicle, a different sort of whole service that you would need for a half-hour commute into work. As you say, it's not the stop. The other change, I think, is that the public will desire is more of that. You know, we always say you wouldn't turn up at an airport and expect to actually get on an aeroplane immediately. You will have booked it. You know when you're going. You know when you're going to arrive. And I think that mindset for people, it will change how we maybe approach rail. It isn't like just getting in your car and driving. If you plan things, and I think that cost model again impacts. But yeah, I think you're right that the way we live and where we live will have that massive impact. And yeah, it is the different forms of rail travel, if you like, and the way they interface with each other. I think that's the one that we'll see more change of than anything else. Freight as well is the other one. You know, the Inland Rail scheme, for instance, it's fabulous in terms of getting that freight off. You know, you're not then blocking, you know, those passenger lines, the intercities, the regional services we talked about, and the small little ones, the Hornsby to Sydney that just runs backwards and forwards, and then you have a proper intercity that goes Newcastle to Sydney, for example. You know, the getting freight away from that has a massive impact on us as well. So I think the different uses of rail will drive how we actually change infrastructure as well.
And I think that will enable regional Australia to grow even more, because you're going to get, with, for example, with Inland Rail alone, the intermodal terminals and hub centres, and less local feeders from farms bringing produce into those intermodals, and that will also have a prolific change impact on those regions like Toowoomba, Parks, and places like that are already seeing the benefit from the ability to actually move freight with some security. And once we get the the Melbourne to Brisbane route, and you can almost assure it to be a 22, 21 hour turnaround. That then means that movement of freight within Australia by ship becomes very much a less attractive option.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thoughts also are the implications around the current and future business cases for infrastructure projects, for transport projects, particularly passenger, when we're looking at potentially different numbers in the future, different restrictions and requirements. So specifications could potentially change. You know, they're all huge impacts where, you know, a business case might stack up in the past, might not in the future. So yeah, huge change there. We're sort of a bit over time. I do want to, first of all, just ask if the audience can let me know, let us know if there's any particular topics for future webinars. So where people ticked other, it'd be great if you could either put in the chat or email. So please do. We'll make sure we're delivering the right content and information that's valuable to everyone. And shout out on the Emerging Rail Specialist Award, which is closing in a couple of weeks. So please look at that. It's a fantastic award, $10,000 prize. There's runner-up prizes as well. So yeah, that closed on 26th of June, I think, being presented at the end of this year. And also we just had our the RTAA Diversity Award, which was presented online. Unfortunately, we didn't have the annual dinner. So that was presented to Coleman Rail with Transdev Australasia runner-up. So yeah, just wanted to plug those ones in, and yeah, thank you to our corporate and personal members for their continued contribution. I also forgot to mention we're doing a bit of a, I guess, a back of house restructure. We've got a new service provider on board, and there'll be a new website, a new membership platform, database system. So all good things to come there, and which is timely, sort of around membership renewal time next month. So yeah, hopefully you see a bit of change on that space as well. Not too many people are left, which I'm amazed about, even though we've gone over time, but I guess it has been a quite short session. Yeah, if anyone wants to, yeah, I think we've got enough questions as it were for the time we've got. Yeah, look out for future correspondence from us from the business manager email. So that's businessmanager@rtaa.org.au. But yeah, we'll have everyone's contact details who attended the webinar, and yeah, look to send that registration list out where we're allowed to. And yeah, I don't know, any final thoughts, David and Anna?
No, like I say, I think it's quite exciting that we're doing this, and like I say, webinars are a really good way of people can pop on and, you know, just get to know people. I think we've got that responsibility to try and join people up and connect people, and so we can share ideas and, like I say, experience. It'd be good if anyone there has actually got maybe something that they'd like to present and share, even if it's like a 15-minute, put your hand up and say, look, I have worked on something quite exciting, or I'm having a particular challenge with something. Is there anyone there that can help me? Use it as a bit of a, you know, forum, but having the set webinars are a good structure for us.
And
I'll try and
also
work out my
thank you to ARA for allowing us to use their platform.
Yeah, I'll try and work out how to actually use it next time. Apologies for not being on video.
All right, I think we'll stop it there. We'll finish up. Yeah, thanks David and Anna, everyone for attending, and those that worked in the background to help support this. Hopefully it'll be a bit more smoother like next time, and we can bring some good content to all the viewers. And that's all from me. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. See you
Awesome.
next
Thank you,
time.
Tom. See you, folks.